So we are live. Good
Hello.
morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We normally wait a couple of minutes just at the very beginning, because I know sometimes with YouTube and finding the links via LinkedIn and all the rest of it, it can take people a few minutes to join. But we're really excited for this
Mhm.
webinar. There's actually been so much buzz and really interesting conversation around this webinar for the last couple of weeks. We've had some really interesting feedback from lots of different people from all walks of monitoring and evaluation uh, life, I suppose. So we're really excited to hopefully bring lots of people together today, talk about all things digitization in the M&E world, with a specific focus on international development projects. But I also think that with these things, when you're talking about digitization, it can be so quickly applied to all sorts of different programs. But we're super excited to bring people together today and discuss this. I can see we've already had some comments on YouTube. So hello to everybody joining. Thank you so much. We're really hoping for a very interactive session. So the more comments you can stick in there, the better. We'll introduce ourselves in a moment, but we'll be interacting both on this stream and also other colleagues in the background on the chat. And we're also hoping to introduce some interactive polls that'll pop up live on screen. And thank you, more comments in YouTube. That's really great to see. Let's actually get started. I can see people have already joined, so we're moving super quickly this morning. So welcome again, everybody, to this webinar. It's being hosted by the team here at TolaData, and it's called Digital Tools for a Better World. And today we're going to be discussing digital M&E in international development projects. So who are we speaking to you first? Let's start there. So my name is Hannah. I am a digital solutions consultant with TolaData, and I have been for over 2 years now. So all things digitization, rolling out of new tools for all your different types of programs is my comfort zone and my fun zone as well. I think it's something I really enjoy doing. And I'm also joined by my lovely colleague Anya. If you want to introduce yourself, Anya.
Thanks, Hannah. Hi, everybody. So my name is Anya. I'm a customer success executive here at TolaData. I've been with them since the start of the year, and my background previous to this was really in volunteering with NGOs, but also customer service. So the M&E is mainly new to me. So I think it's testament to TolaData how intuitive the platform is, and yeah, just really getting my teeth into the M&E world. So really excited to be presenting today. I'm from Ireland, but also currently living in Berlin, where our head office is. And with that, then I'll pass back over to Hannah.
Thanks, Anya. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, to introduce kind of the background of the TolaData team, because that's where this webinar is coming from today. Is we're technically a German company, so we're based in Berlin in Germany, but we also have colleagues in Nairobi in Kenya, in Amsterdam, in Guatemala. We're quite an international group. So we also have, as Anya said, experts from different backgrounds, monitoring and evaluation consultants. We have people with NGO backgrounds. We're all coming together because we care about the same thing. And today we're coming together to talk about digitization in M&E. So let's think about what we're going to actually cover today. We actually reached out to as many M&E professionals as possible when preparing for this webinar, and we really wanted to discuss digitization, but focus in on what matters to the people that are going to be joining, because we want a very interactive knowledge sharing kind of learning session where it's not just Anya and I giving some kind of lecture on some of the things we know. We want to hear from you guys, and we want to hear from people who are even watching this back in the future. Add any of your insight, any of your ideas into the comments. We really want to bring that together, and that's how we brought together this plan this morning for what we're going to be covering. So we're going to start with, why is M&E important? And probably if you're joining this, you know why M&E is important, but the reason we thought it would be good to start here is because the very fact that we reached out to so many different male professionals, we really noticed that there were people coming from all different backgrounds. So we want to start with the basics and then move into a bit of a more elevated field and elevated ideas. So we're going to start there, but then we're going to go straight into why do we need to use digital tools? And once we agree on that, we might look at what tools are out there and how to choose them. Then we're going to look at how to bring that data that we are collecting together in one place. Anya's going to do a really fantastic, I've had a sneak peek demo of how you can bring together some of this digital data. We're going to look at how to take those results even further, tell the world what you achieved, show off your fantastic results with aggregation, disaggregation, dashboard visualization. It sounds like a little rap, it all rhymes, doesn't it? And then we're going to end with some questions, but also we're hoping for some discussion. We want feedback, ideas, anything that you can add. So with that in mind, I would like to invite everybody to either, if you have your phone on you, scan this QR code that you're seeing, or to go to menti.com and enter the code that you're seeing on screen, because actually we're going to use this tool, menti.com, for some polls. It will allow you to add comments so that they'll pop up live on screen so that we can discuss them. We really want this to be as interactive a session as possible. Our colleague Sive is also in the chat in the background. You can't see her face at the moment, but she's very, very active in the chat. If you have questions during the webinar, you can add them there. Sive will get back to you. She's also added the link to Menti in the comments if you want to follow it from there. Sive is also a customer success executive at TolaData. She's what you would call a TolaData expert, but her knowledge definitely doesn't end there. So please feel free to fire your questions to Sive, and Anya and I will also be answering them live on screen too. I can see Sive has even added an extra little comment. Hello everyone, Sive from TolaData. Thank you for joining. Looking forward to watching the demo and hearing from you. So Sive is super excited to hear your thoughts during the webinar. Let's get started. We want to talk very basics first. Why is monitoring and evaluation important? We have came up with 4 ideas. I don't doubt that you were going to have more to add, but we want to begin with better transparency and accountability. Tracking, analyzing, reporting, all of this done in a paper-based tool, in many different tools, can become a little bit labor intensive, a little bit difficult. We want to talk about monitoring and evaluation in digital tools and improving this transparency and accountability in one place. We also want to look at how to improve decision making, and monitoring and evaluation will always allow you to improve your decision making for the simple reason that your decisions are going to be founded on data, on evidence, and that will always make sure you're making choices that are in line with the results that you're getting and in line with the results that you want to achieve as well. Another point we thought of is that you want to ensure that your resources are being used efficiently. And the benefit of monitoring and evaluation in this sense is such that any data that you're collecting during the life cycle of your project is going to be immediately accessible to you. And that can help you then to identify, oh, there's something going wrong with this indicator or something going wrong with this whole objective over here. And you can immediately tell and immediately identify any problem areas, which brings us actually also to the next point. They're kind of tied. You can identify them early on, but then you can also redirect your resources to the appropriate areas, themes, maybe regions. There's a specific region where your project is just not performing as well as other regions. Monitoring and evaluation ensures that you are able to identify all of this before it's too late so that you can remedy these things. We have also added this lovely little graphic with 5 ways that nonprofit organizations can benefit from M&E. And actually in Mentimeter, the polling tool that I was just describing, we have a poll that's asking what element do you think matters most. So with these instructions that you're seeing here, the ones I mentioned already, you can come and join in on our poll. Sive has also added the link in the YouTube comments if you want to join from there. And actually, I can see that we have some results already. So we're asking what element of monitoring and evaluation do you think matters most? Let's switch over to Menti and see what results we have. So we already have 5 votes for data-driven decision-making. I thought that might have happened. I thought that this might be an early favorite. 6 votes for data-driven decision-making. Transparency and accountability is also an important one. Early identification of problems. The thing is that they're all important, but I guess the one that really drives you to work hard to join a webinar like this today to figure out how to best digitize your M&E practices, I think it will always, your number one will be your data-driven decision-making, because that's what we want to get out of this, right? Like that's the reason why we're doing these practices, or one of the important ones, clearly. I also want to add that this poll that we've created here, this is very much an introduction to the interactive side of the webinar that we're hosting today. We're going to add some more questions later on, where there'll be kind of some free text fields. You can add more complex questions, comments, insights. This is really just to dip our toes in the water and see what's important to people and get everyone warmed up. I know for us here in Berlin, it's pretty early in the morning, so maybe for you too that's the case, or maybe you've already had a long day and you're joining this after you finished your work day. I can see more and more votes are coming in here on this. Transparency and accountability stays important. Data-driven decision-making is still definitely coming out on top. Efficient use of resources have one. We have improved project performance. I'm surprised there's not more votes there, I'm not going to lie. I think improved project performance, we always want to improve our project in the best way that we can in our programs, our results. But I mean, I can imagine it's quite difficult to choose. I'm actually glad I'm not voting in this poll at the minute, because it could be a tough one. We're going to leave that there, and we can actually come back to the results a little bit later on if need be. But we want to move straight on to why do we want to use digital tools. So we've settled on the fact that monitoring and evaluation is important to us. It's important for different reasons. We've clearly made it very obvious that data-driven decision-making is one of the most important reasons. But regardless, I think anyone joining a webinar like this can agree that monitoring and evaluation is a very important practice in the life cycle of your project. But why do we want to digitize these processes? We've added this little cartoon. I hope you guys appreciate it as much as we do. We get a good bit of mileage out of this joke in TolaData, where this man is going into this, looks like a sea of papers, where he says, I have some paperwork to catch up on. If I'm not back in 2 days, organize a search and rescue team, because that is the reality of catching up on paper-based activities. You can get so easily lost in these silos of information. You don't know where different things are being stored. You don't know who's responsible for what. There's no kind of, or very little anyway, accountability. You're suffering with transparency across all these different types of documents, whether it's data collection, whether it's evaluation, whether it's even before you're doing any of that and you're conceptualizing your project beforehand. We want to move all of this into digital tools, and here are some reasons why. Okay, so again, we've added 6. If you have more, put them in the YouTube comments. We would love to hear. We can actually add them live on screen if you want to be featured in the webinar in that way. But the reason that we want to use digital tools is firstly to improve your data quality. It is simply a fact, whenever data has to be entered manually, the risk of errors increases, and digital tools can just reduce this risk. It also helps to automate the processing of your data. So for example, calculation of results, aggregation, analysis, visualization, even your reporting, all of it can be automatically processed in digital tools in a way that is simply not possible without them. Immediate access to real-time information, meaning that information is always immediately available and you can rely on it being entirely up to date and accurate. So you're getting absolute real-time insights into your information. You're not waiting for someone to update a chart that hasn't been looked at in a month or maybe a quarter. With digital tools, you can make sure that your data is immediately being entered into charts or graphs or dashboards that you set up even months ago, and you don't need to come back and worry about it. You can use digital tools to ensure that this is happening without the manual effort involved. Another one that I think is really interesting is the fact that you can use digital tools to easily connect to remote or inaccessible sites that may otherwise be quite difficult to monitor. So if you have colleagues working in the field, maybe if it's a farming program, then they're somewhere quite rural. If it's an education program and the school doesn't have a very strong internet connection, you want to be able to choose a digital tool with low bandwidth capabilities. All of this is possible, all of it exists, but you need to kind of think when you're choosing your tools, what of these elements are most important to you. And we're actually going to get to that next. But before we do, the last one that I really want to, I suppose, discuss today is using your digital tools for knowledge management and also for data retention. Because the thing is, with paper-based processes, you remember the guy in the cartoon, it's quite possible that you can end up in this flurry of data and documents and you don't know where things are being stored. But with digital tools, you can ensure all of your data is stored in one place, easily accessible to all staff, both during and after the project. And also, this comes into the transparency and accountability side of things as well, because you can even keep, with digital tools, quite a clear log of who has changed anything, who has entered the data, and all of this is so important for making sure that best practices are implemented as well. So, what tools are out there? This is actually a question that we posed to as many meal professionals as possible over the last couple of weeks. We are really at TolaData interested in hearing from the people who are really doing this work. We want to know what tools you're using, how you're using them, what features matter most to you in those tools, because there are so many. So if we look here at the beginning, we have different tools for data collection. TolaData has its own inbuilt form builder. We heard people using ODK. KoBoToolbox is a really, really popular one. Plenty of people I spoke to told me that they're using Kobo for their collection and also for some visualization as well. iForm Builder, Google Forms, people even collecting their data in Excel, Dimaji, Survey CTO, SurveyMonkey. There are so many ways to collect your data. And then when you start to look into the next phase, once you've done the data collection, you're looking at management and reporting. That's when a tool such as TolaData comes into it. And I know that plenty of people joining this webinar today are quite familiar with TolaData. Maybe you're using it and you're here to learn a little bit more or to share your insights in the comments. And we're really, really grateful for that. Anya is also really soon going to show you around some examples of how you can use all of these different types of tools in a very comprehensive way, with TolaData at the heart of it. But there are also some other tools you can use for your management and reporting. And then we have kind of also added this third maybe level to the whole program cycle, where it goes collection, management and reporting. And then if you really need to do a much more advanced kind of BI analysis, that's where tools like Power BI come into it. SPSS, also very popular, Tableau. And if you're using any more, let us know. We really are interested. And I would love if you could do that using Mentimeter again. So we've already shared these instructions, but just in case you haven't gotten them, they're here. Saif has also added them in the YouTube comments if you want to follow the link from there. And the question that we're asking is, what digital tools are you currently using? And I can see that we actually already have some responses. So let's take a look. We have ODK, Kobo, Tangerine Excel, SPSS. Comcare is one that we didn't mention actually yet. Kobo and Survey Solutions. Mostly Microsoft Excel, Word, PDF, absolutely. And I think that tools like Excel, I think they can sometimes get a bad rep because, you know, when we're digitizing, we're thinking about using more advanced tools and whatnot. But actually, with many digital tools, you can import from something like Excel, or you can even with TolaData, Anya will be showing you soon, you can actually connect via an API to other tools that you're using, like KoBoToolbox, for example, and automatically have that data in there. And this is something that I suppose can be quite important to consider when choosing your digital tool, whether it's the one that's landing in the very middle that we're describing at the minute for your management and monitoring and evaluation during the M&E phase. But I mean, if you're also thinking about what digital tool you might use for your data collection, all of these factors are still very relevant. Airtables has also come in. That's one we absolutely didn't think of. Thank you for adding that. And if you guys have any more, I can see that there's plenty of people joining us at the minute, and we only have 6 responses. So if anybody else would like to add some, then please feel free to do so. But you can always come back and do it later if you're not up to doing it right now. We then want to think about, how do you choose what digital tools? And I've kind of touched on this a little already. I mean, we can agree that digitization is important. It's the way the world is going. It makes your life easier. But once you decide that that's something you want to do, or maybe it's something you've already done in some measure, but you want to take it even further, choose some extra tools. There are some criteria that I think are very important on your journey into doing so. So firstly, your tool needs to be appropriate to your context and your needs. And in this sense, there are quite a few questions to think about. So like, what type of program are you running? How many different organizations are involved? How complex is the program? Are there different themes, different levels on which the program needs to be aggregated? Maybe you have the same program running in parallel in different regions, and you want to aggregate it at a very overall or even corporate level in some cases. You also want to consider the possibility of integration with other tools. This is what I mentioned before about being able to import your data into an M&E tool or export it for a more advanced analysis. You also need to consider the question of how the tool is going to be used. So is it online or offline? So for example, data collection, particularly in the field, offline capabilities are often very important when you don't have an internet connection. But then for the management and the analysis tools that you'll use in the office, online capabilities are generally fine. You can import that offline data once you have the connection. Another very important factor is data protection, and I feel this is just more important than ever. So you want to check where your data is being stored, the compliance with local regulations. For example, we're based in Germany, so in Europe, so we need to comply with the GDPR, and you'll need to check for your own locality. You also want to make sure your tool is user-friendly, and this is perhaps the most, dare I say, important factor in any of this, because change management is difficult, it is time consuming, and being able to roll out a new tool to your team, it's no small feat, because it can take a little while to get everyone used to the new tools, to get them trained. You firstly want to make sure that it's very user-friendly, that training is possible and offered by the tool if it's a little more complex, because once a user or a colleague or a teammate realizes, actually, I can do this, I can use this, they fly from there, and it can be so quick, and the benefits after that point are absolutely endless. But if you can't get to that point, if the tool is not user friendly, then I don't know what to say. It's an important factor to consider. And then finally, the cost to set up. This will always matter. There's no need, in my opinion anyway, these days, to build a custom tool. I think that's something that used to be quite common for different organizations to ask for custom tools to be built for their precise needs, but actually off-the-shelf solutions exist with options for personalizations if necessary, and they're so much more cost effective than any of these custom build tools. And with that, I now want to show you what an integrated data cycle with TolaData can look like. So this is kind of a general kind of map of what the whole cycle can look like, from data collection with all of these options here. I can see that we've had some more responses in Menti. So we'll skip over here for 1 second. We've had another person in KoBoToolbox, Stata as well. So all of those can actually go into this first column, the data collection column, and then you're importing that into your management and tracking system. In this example, we're using TolaData because, of course, it's our area of expertise. And then you can also move into the third phase, which is visualization and reporting. That can be done in TolaData. It can be done in another advanced BI tool. And that's kind of what you're looking at when you're considering the entire data cycle. So we've talked a bit about tools in general, but we've also mentioned TolaData, and I'd love now to pass over to Anya to show you what this can actually look like in TolaData, the system that we've been discussing this whole time.
Great, thanks a million, Hannah. Can you see my screen okay there?
I can see.
Brilliant. So thanks a million for that. This portion of the demo, I hope this is why you're all here and this is what you're most looking forward to. I'm not sure though. So for this portion, we'll really be looking at that management and tracking, and then the visualization and reporting through the dashboards. So the project that we'll be looking at today is a humanitarian aid project. So for the project I kind of created 3 strands to that. So there's the immediate food relief, and then there's the longer term of planting crops for more sustainable food production. And then also there's a health element. So with those different elements, I hope you can see that it can be applied to your project, whatever that may be. I will quickly filter the project here. So this is what the screen looks like when you open up TolaData. You can see a long list of all our projects there. We're very hardworking here. So if I filter that by our custom group, I can click in our SDG results, and when I filter that, you can see there a smaller list of the projects, and this is the food security crisis project we will be looking at. And when I click into that, we move on to our second tab here on the left. So this navigation bar, this is how you navigate through the whole platform. Excuse me. So when I click into the details tab here, pardon me, I'm recovering from a cold. When you click into the details tab, you will see the first tab here is the information about this singular project. So you can see you have the name, the status of the project, start and end date, all that really important information. And you can even add notes here down the bottom. So you see we're looking at SDG 2 to end hunger. So it's a really important SDG that we'll be looking at. If I click into the next tab here, I just want to show you different sites. So you can add sites to your project and list them here. And when I go back up to tabs, I just want to quickly show you an overview that the first 5 tabs is really looking at the communication. So it's all about the project. And then the final 4 tabs here is about the configuration. So the background of the project and the setup of it. So that's the details tab. If I skip on to the activity tab, this is the tab for the people and project management. So when I scroll down here, you will get to see the flow of the project. Just by looking at it, you can already see a lot of information like the progress of each activity, who's assigned it, start and end date, the budget of it, and then you can see a visualization here of the color of how it's getting on. So you can see the project flow is we're setting up the project. First of all, it's an immediate response, so we have to complete that within a month. And then we have also a budget element here. So this will actually be happening off-site, but I think it's good to be aware of something like that. And then the implementation of the food relief rollout. So that's the distribution of the food parcels and the cooked meals. And then finally, the evaluation and closeout. So that's a quick look at the activity and the flow of the project. If I click into the indicator section here, we'll be coming back to this because this is the most important part of the software. It shows how you can aggregate and disaggregate and collect data. So we'll be coming back to that in 1 minute, but I just want to show you then the forms tab. So this is for collecting data within TolaData, and then you can share these forms with outside your organization. The data tables here is a really important section as well, which Hannah was talking about. So this is where you can upload outside sources and then integrate them with the system. So you can see here, I already have uploaded through Google Drive and CSV. But as mentioned in the Mentimeter, a lot of you use KoBoToolbox. We also have OneDrive, ONA, or any machine readable source that you can download as CSV and then re-upload it. And then finally, the dashboard sections we will get into in a few minutes. I just want to go back into the indicator section here. So this is where we collect your data. It's very intuitive to use. I think if you roll out a project, a lot of your team members would maybe only be using this section. So you can see that again, we have the high level look at the format of it, if it's numeric, percentage, or qualitative. You can see how often the data is collected, the status of it, and then you can see here our immediate results. So this is automatically updated, so you can see our actual here and then our target. If I click into the results framework here, so this is where we set out the headings for the indicators. So you can see our overall look at our target here, and then that's broken down into our goal, our objective, our outcome, and then our outputs. So we have our cooked meals, our food parcels, and our crops planted. If I scroll back up here and then go back into the indicators, you can see there that's where the headings then are. I want to show you a standard indicator. So if I scroll down here, I will show you this indicator here, which is the number of children treated for malnutrition. If I click in there, you will see data. This is all configurable data. You can enter the description, you can add some notes, and then you can show the method of analysis. And then if I click in here, you can see the life of the program, just some more information about the data that you're going to be collecting and the indicator. And then this is the section here I really want to show you. So this is what most of your team members would probably be using. You can see here, there's 2 ways to add data, and that is through manual entry. And that is simply just adding in the data, adding in a date. We'll say we collected that at the start of this month. You can add an identifier. You can add a site. So let's say this was drop off point 2, add some evidence, notes, even add disaggregated data, which we will come to later on. And then when I save that, you can see the data has popped up there. There's also an option to add it from a data table. So that was back at this section here. So this is where you would then pull the data from KoBoToolbox or your CVS file. And when you do that, I will just show you what that looks like here. So you select your data table, select the column, and then you can change the calculation. So it really is quite simple. And then you can also disaggregate it, which again, I'll be coming to in a few minutes. But with that, I think I'll pass back over to Hannah, who will continue with a bit of a presentation, and then I will follow up with some aggregated indicators and show you the dashboards.
I was muted there. I'm sorry. You would
I
think after all of
don't
this
need to
talk
attest to that.
after all of this talk of digitization, I
I
wouldn't
know.
be leaving my mic on mute. But let's go back to this presentation, and thank you so much for that, Anya. And I'm really excited to see what you do next with those indicators. And that's exactly what I want to say just quickly here, is that once you've done exactly what Anya has shown you here, you've created your results framework, your smart indicators, you've figured out your targets, it's all been built, and you've collected some data. You've added it maybe from KoBoToolbox, maybe from Excel, maybe from ODK, wherever it's coming from. You've added it into your system, but now you want to take your results further. And there are so many ways in which we can do this, right? So you can use comparable, maybe what we would refer to as standard indicators, and then aggregate your results maybe across projects, across sub-projects. And doing this can provide really useful insights in order to measure your impact in very specific, maybe thematic or KPI areas. And things that we want to check when doing this is, firstly, the proportional contribution of each project to the total goal, and whether you should apply weighting. So weighting can be used, for example, if you have many sub-projects that are contributing to one total goal, but rather than giving them all the same weight, maybe some are affecting double the amount of beneficiaries that others are. You want to be able to weight those projects individually. And doing this can also help to adjust for any known over-reporting, double counting, under-reporting. For example, if you have beneficiaries in a particular region, maybe they're attending 2 of the same trainings, or maybe they're receiving packages from different programs. You want to be able to adjust for that double counting. You also want to be able to tell the world what you've achieved. So we have another little cartoon for you here where this guy says, after careful consideration of all 437 charts, graphs, and metrics, I've decided to throw my hands up and run off into the sunset. Who's with me? And this is not what we want. We want careful consideration of important graphs that we've specifically chosen in order to show off our data in the best way possible. We want to be able to analyze it from this information, and we want to show it off. We want to tell the world, be able to communicate that. And I think, Anya, you're going to show us exactly how we can do that.
Correct. I can jump back in there. Great.
You might be having a slight little connection issue.
I can hear you okay there?
No, looks all good.
Okay, great. Fab. So moving on then, so that was a collected data indicator I just showed you. So just a quick refresher, the indicator section here on the left-hand side. You can see here the top level indicators here are aggregated indicators, and we know they're aggregated because of this little symbol here. So if I scroll down, you can see this little stack of coins, almost, that is a collected data indicator, and then they feed up into our aggregated indicators. So for the collected data indicators, that's where you add the new data, and then for the aggregated indicators, you're just using the information already on site. So to show you an example of that, we have 3 indicators here that I'm looking at. So I want to plant crops in certain regions in different soils. And with these modified seeds that we're planting, I want to track how the crops are growing. So first of all, I collect the number of acres that we've planted in these 3 indicators. But then I want to see an overview of how those indicators are doing together. So I've fed them up here into the overall number of acres planted, and this is one of our outcomes. So if I click in there, you will see it's the exact same as a collected data indicator. We have the details, the targets and disaggregations, the result summary, but also here the contribute indicators is the only thing that's different. So that's where you collect data on the other indicator. You can see we have the same configurable inputs here, description, notes. So We want to see how adaptable the seed is for this ground. And then you can see here, I've added a note that we've marked it on the map for reference where the map is stored, and then just a little bit about why we're doing that. And then also you can see the method of reporting here. If I scroll up into our target-centered disaggregations, again, this is the life of the program. So in total, I want to plant 850 acres, the baseline. So that's before we came to this region and started the project. On the first of the year, there was already 80 acres being planted or already planted. You can see the unit of measure, and then we want this to increase because we want to plant more acres. And you can see here that I've attached a disaggregation. So this is done at a details level in one of those configurable tabs that I showed you. And we've created that and attached it here at the different soil types. When I click into the contributed indicators, this is where you can see where I've attached those indicators. You can see the acres of maize, millet, and rice. And just to quickly show you, if I go to manage these indicators, this here is what Hannah was talking about with the different weights and adjustments for double counting. You can also change the aggregation formula. So here I want the sum of all the acres, but if I wanted the average or if I wanted to take those away, that's all possible there. And when I click into the final tab here in the results summary, this is where you can see where I've disaggregated that data and broken it down. So within the 3 different crops I'm planting, I want to look at the different soils. So the laterite soils, clay soils, and sandy soils. So within that, I'll just quickly show you how we got these figures, where this is feeding from. If I go back into, scroll down through our indicator list and go back into one of these indicators, back into the collected data tab, you'll see here when you enter this data, you can then break it down. So you can see here I've divided that 150 acres by how many different acres we planted. So this is useful as well for our reporting period. So if I leave the indicator section here and go down to the dashboards on our navigation bar, you will see here we have multiple different dashboards, and you can create as many dashboards as you like and change the permission and sharing of these dashboards if you have different projects going on at the same time. So when I click in here, this is what you will see when you click into the dashboard. I've configured all of these widgets, and I do that just by adding a new widget. You can see there's text and image widgets. I've added a bit about what we're doing. And then here I've just highlighted the results below. So our first outcome here, we're looking at the crops. So this is a absolute value actual versus target widget. This is a breakdown of our disaggregations in a pie chart. So this is the overall look of them, but I wanted to break that down further into each different crop. So you can see I've done that there. This is the parcel of lands that we've planted. So that's similar to the map that we're keeping in the office. This widget here, this line widget, this actually isn't from this project. So I have linked a similar project that we're working on in a different region. And I wanted to show it in this here for reference for something that could be forecasted if we included livestock in our project. So you can link different indicators and different projects together if that's what you want to do. And then you can see there just more time-based widgets with our second outcome. And then finally, you can see a map here of our different points. With this as well, just to reiterate for the data protection, you can change the sharing settings. So I can share that within my team, or I can share it outside TolaData. So I can copy that link, and I think Sive even has this link that she can share it with you in the comments. So if you share this outside your network, they don't need to have a license to see it, and you can also allow turn off and turn on access to that. So with that, again, I think I'll pass back to Hannah. I think you're on mute again, Hannah.
Sorry, I thought it was off this time. Again, you're completely right. Sive has added the link to that dashboard that you've created in the YouTube comments. So if you are watching us on YouTube right now, you can just go to the comments. So I've just pasted the link there, and you can see what that public view of the dashboard that Anya has created looks like.
And just to interrupt you there, Hannah, if there's any questions on it, or if you have anything to add about it, please do let me know as well. Add it into the comments.
Absolutely, yeah. Those dashboards, they're fantastic in many ways for your visualization, but also because, like you were saying, Anya, they update automatically. So when you add data to those indicators, it goes straight in there. You don't need to come and edit the dashboard and make sure all of your results are the most up to date or the most relevant, that they will automatically populate in there once those charts are created. Which is why we want to invite you to try TolaData for free. If you just go to TolaData.com, you can register for the free trial. There are absolutely no strings attached. We just want to see what you think of the platform. We want you to check it out. We want you to reach out to us and give us your feedback. TolaData is a tool that's in constant development. It is always being developed in line with user feedback, in line with user needs. We are constantly in touch with all of the different organizations who use TolaData on a day-to-day basis to figure out how we can best adapt the platform and create new features for them. So we would really love that if you guys wanted to go check it out, if you are interested from what you've seen so far. Please do so. And with that, we want to move into the final portion of our demo today, our webinar today, and we want to have hopefully a very insightful discussion. If you have any questions on what we've shared, we want you to enter them. If you have any comments, something you want to share with the others who are joining us at the moment, we can do that. I can see there's been a comment in YouTube to let us know that the dashboard looks good, very easy to follow and understand. So that's a lovely compliment for you on for creating that dashboard.
I hope you sign up for free trial and really get using it yourself and see how intuitive it is. And that's not an exhaustive list of all the widgets and all the possibilities. There is so many different variations and combinations you can put together. And again, like linking different dashboards. So please have a go yourself and let us know how you find it.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at the questions and comments that we're getting. And just to note, the instructions remain at the very top of this screen here. So you can go to menti.com and use the code that you're seeing up here. And when you add your questions, they'll come up live on screen and we can answer them. They also don't have to be questions. We have shared our knowledge on TolaData and on digitization today, but we also want to receive yours. We want to receive your feedback. We want to receive your insight on what tools you are using at the moment. Add it all. We want this to be an active discussion. So this first question, where do we download TolaData? An excellent point. TolaData is actually a browser-based tool. So it's optimized for Google Chrome or for Microsoft Edge. So all you need to do is open up your browser. You're probably in your browser right now watching us on YouTube. So just open up a new tab and go to toladata.com. And you'll see the button to sign up for your free trial. And that's where you get started. If you want a subscription, you can contact us and we can work it all out. But I definitely recommend starting with that free version and having a play around with the system.
Totally. And even when you sign up as well, myself or Sive, the members of the customer success team, will be in touch. You can get back to us and just let us know any questions, or if there's none, you can just say, I'm fine, I just want to figure it out myself for the next month. And that's also absolutely grand. But we'll be there as well throughout the 30 days. I didn't either show you there's a live chat function within the platform. So if you click down, if you're on your browser at the moment in TolaData, you'll see an orange icon at the bottom right-hand side of the screen. So if you click that, that's a live chat function. And during Berlin opening hours, that will be myself or Sive. And then out of hours, it'll be our international colleagues. So if you have any questions at all, you can reach us there as well. I see a question there. Is there a mobile application for data collection? So by that, I think you mean an app. So fortunately, at the moment, it's just on your browser that you can use TolaData. it is suited to a web browser as well.
Yeah, but you can access TolaData in the browser on your phone if you need to. The thing is that for the more complex kind of work you might be doing, like aggregating and disaggregating, like we saw Anya doing in this demo, I would recommend at least a laptop or maybe an iPad, because it's just a larger screen to be able to see what you're working in. But in terms of if you're using, for example, the TolaData forms to collect some data there, those are completely accessible in the browser on your phone. So entirely possible. I can see some other questions have come up in Mentimeter. It says that we're on 2 out of 3, and I know that this is actually coming from our fantastic colleague Sive is sharing this at the moment. So I wonder, Sive, if you're able to move on to the next one. It says 2 out of 3. Super, thanks guys. Is there different levels of access in TolaData? Thank you, Sive. It's like you're working some magic. I can't see you right now, but I know that you can hear me. There are different levels of access in TolaData. So to explain this, let's think of it as 2 types of user. So firstly, there's what we call the org admin. And the org admin is like this super user who has access to everything on the account. They can see everything. They can invite all of their colleagues to join them. That's usually the person who goes to toladata.com and signs up the first time, but actually you can change that if you need to. And then the other type of user is just your standard Tola user. And these people, these users, they don't have access to absolutely everything. They only have access to the projects to which they have been added or which they have created themselves. So this is actually quite a great feature for data protection, but also for making the lives of those users easier, because when you log in, you only see the projects or the programs or the units of data which are actually relevant to you. And then within those projects or programs that you're creating on the platform, you can add different layers of permission to all of the different team members. So if you want people to only be able to log in and enter data and to not be able to delete or edit anything, you can give them data entry permission. If you want them to be able to only view the results, then you can either give them view only permission, or you can actually share your dashboards externally if you want to, using the public link that Anya shared and that Sive put in the chat. So yeah, in summary, you can completely manage the different levels of.
Totally. And I will add in that as well, actually, in the dashboard section, so you can share externally. But with creating the dashboards, you can change the permission of those as well, which is something I didn't mention. So say to that dashboard, I have Hannah and Sive added as admins, so they can go in and edit it. I can add other team members just as view only, and then other people, some people in TolaData don't have access at all to that. So if they click into the list of dashboards, they won't even be able to see that. So I think that's really useful for data protection and just security of different projects as well. I can see there another comment.
Yep.
Yes, it's holistic and integrated for quality data. Yeah, it really is very easy to use as well. I think when you sign up for the free trial, you'll really get a hang of it and get a good hang of the platform.
Yeah, and holistic, I think, is a lovely way of describing it. And thank you for the very kind comment, because that's exactly what we're aiming for. It's something that you can use for every aspect of your program lifecycle, from collection to monitoring and evaluation. There's also sections for project management and task management that we didn't even get to touch on today, because we really just wanted to talk about kind of digitization in general and not just focus on entirely TolaData, but there is more to learn there if you're interested. And maybe Anya, would you like to take this one?
No problem. How do we connect a group of people to TolaData? So in terms of that, I feel like you're speaking about your organization. So with that, you would sign up the usual way to TolaData. And then you can sign up actually as an organization for the free trial. So the way you do that is we have a knowledge base, which we can either circulate the article after this, which will tell you how to invite users through the admin console. So when you invite users, you can invite your whole team. They will get an email, and then once they follow that link, they will sign up and you will all be in the same organization. So you can do that for your free trial or even when you buy the licenses, but you can definitely connect as the group just for the free trial as well if you want to try that out as an organization.
Yeah, and in that trial, the number of people in the group, the number of colleagues that you want to add is completely unlimited. So you can share it with all of your colleagues on your team, whether it's project managers or meal coordinators, whoever it is, you can invite them all to come and check it out and work together if you're interested.
5 there in the comments has actually added the knowledge base article. So if you click into that, sign up immediately, you can actually you can have your whole team invited in the next 5 minutes, I would say, depending on how many people is on your team. If we want to scroll down, do we have another question there? Any of the comments?
And even if it's not a question that you want to add, we still have a couple more minutes left. If you have any feedback, if you want to let us know what your systems currently look like, how you're feeling in them. Another thing that we do quite frequently at TolaData is we offer consultancy for your setup. Now, we have both in-house M&E experts and also TolaData experts. And if you want to share with us after you've gotten a little bit of a hang of the free trial, some information about your needs or your log frame or maybe it's your reporting needs, you can actually contact us and we will recommend the best next steps for you to try out, and you can test it with your team and see what works best for you. So you're more than welcome to do that as well. I can see that actually 2 more have been added in there. Is it possible to save the data on own organizational server? So TolaData, because it's hosted in the browser and the data itself is hosted in Germany because that's where we're based, it doesn't go to your specific organizational server, as in you get a subscription to the service. You don't own the platform itself or anything like that. So in order to do that, you're going to need to export the data that you enter in TolaData, but all of that is entirely possible. There's an entire section for exporting everything that you enter, or if you just want to export indicator data, you can configure those exports and then add it wherever else you need, be it on your organizational server or maybe in another analysis tool if that's what you want to do. It's entirely possible to export it.
Just another thing I was thinking of there, Hannah, while you were speaking earlier on, is that the customer success team and the team at TolaData as well, because we're kind of a new social tech company, we're constantly updating. So every few months we have updates going out. There's some of those features on our dashboards, like the permissions, they're new in the last month. So your feedback as well is very welcome on the software. And yeah, we love to make it as intuitive and as user friendly for you. So if you have any features or anything that you want, do get in touch as well. Can I use this for non-NGO work? Absolutely. So we have organizations who aren't NGOs, and the reason why we kind of angle towards NGOs is because we're a social tech company. So we offer 50% off for NGOs. We also have a program called a community support program. So let's say the regular price is about 99 for non-NGO work. That goes down to 49 if you're a registered NGO. But if you're a very small organization, so there's criteria you have to follow. I think it's a small number of employees, you have to be earning under a certain amount in funding, and then you can apply to use the software for €19 a month. So I think if you're a small organization as well, there's always options and things you can do to still use the platform. So yes, absolutely, you can use it for non-NGO work.
Yeah, we have plenty of examples of that currently being used on TolaData. There are foundations. You can track assessments and certification programs if you want to. We actually internally, TolaData itself, like Anya said, we call ourselves a social tech company, and we offer this service to we aim it and gear it towards nonprofit work, because that's really what's at our heart. But we even use the system ourselves for our own internal KPIs. This webinar will be tracked in TolaData for us, so it's entirely possible to use it in your own way.
It wouldn't be a good example, I suppose, if we weren't using it for our own.
Exactly.
Yes, the best example. Yes. Can I track my project budget? Absolutely. So we actually have a recent article online, so I may be able to share it in the comments about tracking budgets. So it can be done in a few different ways, but one of them is through the indicators. So you would have noticed in the details section there was an overarching budget, which is very useful. We can also break that down further in the indicator section as well. So that's definitely possible.
Yeah. And whether it's budget that's being attached to maybe the more project management side of things, and budget for activities and tasks that go along with the project, or if the program itself is one where you're dispersing grants or funding, all of that, from the very simple case to the much more complex cases of funding and grants and all of this, it's entirely possible to do both. And you're right, Anya Sive, who's always on the ball, has actually added the article in the YouTube comments if you want to check out exactly how to manage grants and funding within TolaData. Again, you can also reach out to us directly. And with that, I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to share this final slide with our email address, info@toladata.com. Any questions, feedback, again, we'd really appreciate your feedback, because we really want to learn and to create a community where knowledge sharing is at the core of everything we're doing. Okay, so we're sharing our knowledge on our expert subject, which is of course TolaData and digitization, but we want to hear from the experts who are very kindly joining us today. And thank you to everyone who has joined and asked questions and added comments. We're really grateful, and to everyone who watches back on YouTube later on as well. You can also always reach out to us anytime. So with that, personally, I will sign off. It's been great to interact with everybody today. I hope it's been useful for you. It's certainly been beneficial for me. So thank you so much.
Totally, I would like to reiterate that, and I loved all the interactive comments. So thank you very much, and hopefully, once I see the signups come through, it'll be myself contacting you today to get in touch and just to see that everything's okay. So hopefully, I will be speaking to you then. Great.
Thanks so much. Goodbye, everybody.